Hi, my name is Felix Fry.
And I'm Marco Rajnica.
We're here to find great trading opportunities that target 150 to 400% returns. And you? Well, you're going to help us do it every single day. So welcome. This is the Winning Picks Podcast. This podcast is for educational purposes only. OptionsGeek LLC is not a broker-dealer. OptionsGeek LLC, Felix Fry, and Marco Rajnica are not registered investment advisors. Keep in mind, options involve substantial risk and are not suitable for everyone. Please consult your own investment advisor before doing any trading. Make sure you read the full disclaimer at the end of this episode. Hey, Marco, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. How's everything with you?
Good. So let's some homework here, but let's look at board today, and why don't you start it off today? You could tell me what you're seeing out there, and that way we can go through the process and make sure you're going through the process correctly, and then we can sort of dissect the idea.
Okay, cool. So I was looking at two unusual option activities, and I'm going to share my screen real quick so we can take a look at. So as you said, I go IV up and then filter based on volume, and then one that immediately struck me was AMD.
Okay.
I was looking at some decent volatility change, some change in stock price, and some decent volume. So I went ahead, clicked on it, and saw some interesting stuff. So, for example, a lot of people are playing December, and some are playing some January 15th, and nobody's really looking at this one, 22nd, which is right before earnings. Or actually 29th,
Right.
which is right after earnings, right? So we're waiting for an event, and then we're playing a little bit after, right? So January and February is something I expected to see, but we've seen this, so I did a little bit of digging, and I was kind of looking at, what's interesting with AMD, all this stuff. So I'm gonna, quickly kind of go through that, what I'm seeing, what I researched, what I found, and then I would like you to help me out with the board and kind of show me what you're seeing, give me some perspective and stuff like that. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me in bullet points, tell me what you see that's interesting.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, cool. So with AMD, I myself, I'm into video games. I like that type of stuff, and AMD has been on the rise lately a lot. So for example, I today was their 52-week high.
Okay.
Which is pretty interesting, and we're seeing a lot of volume. And then also I found out that PS5 and Xbox X have a new AMD chip and a new AMD graphics card,
Gotcha.
GPU, which is really interesting that they took that from Intel and NVIDIA, which are kind of the main players in the PC world.
Sure.
Or so they have been, right? So a lot of research has been showing that PC gaming has been really on the rise, and they said it could add some 3.6 billion in revenue this year to hit a total of 40 billion, which is quite a substantial number.
Okay, so there's a big market in the PC in the games, more consoles being sold.
Yes.
People at home for COVID, consoles being sold, revenues potentially being up, taking from Intel. Okay,
right. And I'm going to kind of be tying that into this ESPO ETF that looks pretty interesting. That goes kind of hand in hand with AMD, and they have some share in that as well.
Okay.
So also something interesting I found was cryptocurrencies, and So what it says, there's a connection between the two, and the more, I guess, the higher the stock, the prices.
The higher Bitcoin goes, higher the crypto. So the more the mining,
the more demand
becomes valuable.
mining,
so everybody starts mining, right?
Yes, exactly. And the most important component of that mining is actually graphics cards.
The chips, the graphics cards. Okay,
the graphics cards. And NVIDIA has been a leader in graphics cards for many, many years, and Intel has been a leader for chips, and they've kind of been like they had a synonymous relationship where if you're going to buy an Intel chip, you're going to get an NVIDIA graphics card. Now that's been changing quite a lot.
Right.
A lot of people are actually opting into the AMD chips, and either opting in for NVIDIA graphics cards or AMD graphics cards, which have been on the rise lately with their 6000 series. And their AMD chips have been really good with the Generation 5. They've been showing to be even better at benchmarks than Intel's, which is quite interesting because Intel, I think, is twice the size of AMD, somewhere around $200 billion
market cap. So that's the interesting part. Market cap in Intel is like 200 billion, and AMD is about 100 and something billion. So, but the interesting part about that, because you can't just look at the market cap. The interesting part to make sure you understand is that Intel has 9 times the revenue that AMD has.
Mm-hmm.
So that is okay. So AMD is taking business from Intel. That's a positive. AMD has 1/9, or Intel has 9 times the revenue expectations going forward than AMD.
Mm-hmm.
So that is could be considered a positive. That's the opportunity for AMD. AMD can
Right.
close that gap.
Mm-hmm.
The market cap is only 2 times. So the market already, the price embedded in AMD is already taken into account the opportunity to take away from
Uh-huh.
Intel.
Right.
Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. That's just in the background. You can't. The story for sure is good in AMD for
Mm-hmm.
sure. The CEO is great. The stock has been trading great. The chips are the graphic cards are being used. For sure, it's great. The question always is, how much has the market taken into account the great story?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of great stories out there. You can name 20. The question is, the valuation is already high. Now, I'm not an expert in calling valuations here, but we look at AMD. So show me what you see in the chart. That's the story. I get it. There's a lot of different things moving for
Mm-hmm.
AMD that are positive. Show me what you see in the chart.
In the charts or the chain or
And no, first the charts. We know the chain. We know that there is some. We know that there is some movement in the options, and people are playing the options near term. Why don't you show me the chart now? Because that's something that you should you at least get comfortable with. Part of what you are trying to do is, one, find the unusual options activity flow.
Mm-hmm.
Two, um, take what you see there. If they're
Okay.
buying calls, and we're gonna analyze it a little bit more today, but if they're buying calls, and you look at the chart and the chart's bullish, that goes hand in hand. That's a positive, on the call side, and then a positive on the chart. The chart is bullish. Then you go to the story and you start thinking about the story. What is the story in Intel? It's positive, like we just said. But now the question is the
AMD.
details, right? The matching up of all the parts and trying to come up with maybe the real story, or is this something that makes sense? Is what people are buying, does it make sense? Sometimes what doesn't make sense is the story, right?
Uh-huh.
What you can't figure out
The
is the
disconnect.
story.
Right.
The
Right.
disconnect is the story, right? You have to, you have to assume that people are smart. They know what they're doing when they're spending millions of dollars to buy call options. So then the question is, why are they buying that particular one?
Mm-hmm.
Why now? All of these are the questions that you're going to be asking yourself. So you have this framework now. You found the UOA. You've seen a couple of the options plays. You're looking at the chart. I'm going to ask you about the chart. You've already told me this positive story. So let's look at the chart. Why don't you tell me what you see in the chart, and then I'll let it go. After that, then I can take over a little bit with what you said.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So looking at a year, we've seen they've had a really good year. I mean,
Good.
going from like 41 to 96,
Yeah.
pretty good, right? So, I mean, it looks like it's kind of starting to break out, but I'm not sure if it's
Okay.
going to be able to, and how higher can it actually get?
Okay.
Kind of what I'm seeing here.
Good. Okay. So that usually, by the way,
Mhm.
I usually don't go crazy into like the charts. I call it, look at the chart as if, a 6-year-old was looking at the chart. Is it going up or down? It's
Right.
really, is it going up or down, or is it somewhere in the middle? I don't know.
Mhm.
We'll have time to look at the chart, but the initial reaction is, that's a pretty good chart.
Mhm.
Right. Like you said, it was at 40. It fought off COVID. It rose to the highs in September. I think what I would look at is you see from February to August. What was the high from February to August? Around 55-ish, right? 55. See
55.
that right there?
Yeah.
So 55. So I look at that. That's a clear line, a clear resistance line from February, May, June, going into July, even August. And then what happens? It shoots past it. It breaks out.
Right.
Now, when it breaks out on that first move above, you could see the volume. Okay, those little shaded things underneath. The volume is pretty high.
Okay.
The first one is 150 million. Okay, right
I
there.
see.
Yeah, not that one. That's 200.
Oh,
The day
first one.
before.
Okay.
That
Okay.
one.
Okay.
So
Right.
150 million. It's going right to that resistance. The
Mhm.
next day, it goes to 200 million in volume.
Mhm.
Okay, that's 200 million volume. That's big, and the stock jumps.
Mhm.
The market is essentially, that's a breakout. That is a true breakout, right? The volume is there. It's going to the next level with huge volume. If you look at the next 10 days, there's really not much give back in the stock, and then it makes another jump on big volume, and then a fourth jump on big volume.
Right.
What is that? That's basically saying that some, whether it's 1, 2, 10, or 100 investors, they are taking the stock to the next level. They're basically, new information has come into the
Okay.
market, and the market is now saying, you know what? This is no longer a $55 stock. This is no longer a $45, $50 range stock. This is now a 75, 90 range stock. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because that's what it takes it immediately to about 87. I see there.
Mhm.
Within 2-3 weeks, it trades 95 almost, then comes back down. Now it's made its double, it's touched the 75 level twice. 75.
Mhm.
It's touched 75 level twice. That to me is giving you a range. The range now to me looks pretty clearly something like 94, 75
Mhm.
over a period of 3-4 months, where it's digested this large move. And everybody who was long, not everybody, the people who were long between 40 and 55
Mhm.
back in February for 6 months in August, they're the ones, or the people that want to sell, they're selling up here. They're reducing positions up here. That's why the stock doesn't keep going higher. It had its range between 40 and 55. Now, the big boys, they came in August and said, no, this is a higher stock now. We got new information, earnings, or whatever that announcement, we're taking it higher, and we want it. We want to own this because they're
Mhm.
beating Intel. For everything that you just said, they're beating Intel. They're selling more graphic cards, and Bitcoin is starting to be on the rise, which is going to be an increase in demand in graphic cards. So
Mhm.
for all those reasons, the market has now shifted this to 75.94. Now, for whatever reason, the market is, the stock is actually going to that higher range of 94. You're starting to see the call buyers that you have. You saw them to last week. It started with the call buying, and then the market reversed and went back from like 95, I think, to 90, even 89, I think it touched, and then it's jumped immediately back. This is the sign of a strong stock. So
Mhm.
their chart is obviously very strong. The demand out there is bullish. The question now becomes, okay, do I buy calls? Right?
Okay.
Do I buy calls? We have everything. We have the story, we have the chart, and we have the options board. Do I buy calls? And which one are they buying?
Mhm.
Right? So when I look at a company, I'm not looking at the deep fundamentals of a company. I'm looking at what you asked me, what you just told me. And I asked you, say,
Mhm.
tell me what you know. What I definitely do ask is, how does the company make money? How does the company make money? What do they do? How do they make money? And then the second question, which is very important, is why now? Why is this company exciting right now? I
Mhm.
mean, you can look at stocks and they sit around for 8 months. That's
Right.
not what we're playing.
Mhm.
We're trying to find something very specific. Why is someone getting up out of bed, some billionaire getting up bed and willing to go buy 20,000 call options in AMD? It's because there's new information floating around. Somebody's putting pieces together and saying, no, this is happening, or this is what I think is going to happen. So that's always the question. Why now? Why
Mhm.
now? Now, I'm going to take over the screen for a second. Let me
Okay.
let me see if I can show you something here.
Go ahead.
So I want to share my screen, and tell me when you see my screen. Let's see,
Mm.
share screen, application window here. All right, let's go here. Okay. Do you see
All
it?
right. Yeah, I see the
Okay.
chart.
All
Mhm.
right, perfect. So I'm going to click on your AMD. Okay, what do I see first? First and foremost, I see a lot of options activity.
Mhm.
Okay, especially like you said in the front month, the stock is up 2%. 280,000 options are trading here. I can remove the shading a little bit just to get a better sense of where it's trading, but there's clearly a lot of options activity. And where's the biggest one? Take a look at this: 67,000 options right here. Like, what's actually happening there? What's going on?
Mhm.
That's one thing that catches my eye. Why? Because a lot of these are, because you could see that the volume today is higher 96, higher 97 than the open interest,
Uh-huh.
26,000, higher than 6,000. This open interest is essentially telling you this is where the options that are in play have already been, bought or sold.
Right.
Okay, this is what's out there. Each option represents a buyer and a seller. Okay, but somebody initiated the buy or the sell, and we're trying to find those initiations of buys. So you have this open interest. So it's intriguing that this looks like new option buys here, 12, 33, 26, or new, or 67. I'm not going to say buys completely, but it looks it's new. There's new bets being made because these are the bets that are already laid. These are new bets. Here's 29,000 options. That's already been made. Here's 67,000 today.
Oh,
Why
wow.
today? What's going on? That's a lot. So I'm looking at December. Now, in general, as a general statement, I don't like buying 3-day options. I
Okay.
just it's not, it's not the way we're going to play this game, right? This game is 3-day options is a much faster game than buying a 2-month option or a 6-week option. It's a much faster game. It's called, you can call it leverage, you can call it gamma, you can call it any one of those things, but it's a faster game. So if you're going to play this game, and combine it with the other game of buying 2-3-month options, you might want to lower your position size on these types of plays.
Okay.
Okay. Because in a way, this is sort of betting, like, not saying it's heads or tails, but it's like heads or tails. You're either going to win or lose zero or a dollar, on one flip. Here, you might not get the chance to get out of your position at any stop loss that you have, right? Because, if the stock is down $3 tomorrow, the 97 calls, it's going to be tomorrow is what? Wednesday. It's going to be Wednesday for expiration Friday. It's only 3 days left. You're going to you have less of a chance to reach 97. This down $3. This is going to be, probably 40 cents, 45 cents. That would be my guess. So these are the things that, it goes towards more of the plan that we always talk about. But, how do you size your positions? If you're playing the game that Options Geek is playing, where we're trying to do 6 weeks to 2 months, that could be, you're going to play the same size because 6 weeks to 12 weeks is about the same. It's not going to matter so much. But if you're going to play a 3-day option, man, you have to, one, it's faster, and two, you have to reduce your size because the volatility is a lot higher. Okay, the volatility of the returns, losing and winning big, it's going to happen on those trades, and the stop outs are much faster. Okay, so keep in mind that it's important to keep that in mind. Now, more importantly, let's get into it. So let's see what we have here. The 97 calls. I'm looking at this, and what do I see off the bat? I see the change in implied vol for the 97 calls is down. Okay, it's down. It actually followed the stock, traded up. It looks like, so if you look at I'm looking at the green bar first. Okay, the stock opened up, traded up, and then started chopping around, and then traded down. Okay, traded back up and then traded down. When it opened up, you could see the implied volatility was high. Opened up fairly, it looks like yesterday's implied vol was 48.4, right? If it's down 1.44, I'm looking up here, 48.4. As it opened up, remember, there were, like we said, there were a lot of people long calls. And so on a big spike in the morning, they looks like they started selling options. See these options? It looks like they were coming for sale. Why? Because the implied volatility was going down. And as they were coming for sale, more stock, selling calls is like selling stock. You could see the stock following down. Okay, stock coming down, implied volatility going lower. All of these are probably sell calls, sell calls, sell calls. Then it finds a bid, trades back up, and now you see a tick up in volatility. Somebody, you just sort of read the crowd's mind. It's, tick up in volatility after the stock goes up. Oh, okay, that's the bottom. I want to buy calls again, right? So there's a lot of day trading going on around here, especially in December options. And so you could see how this is following the pattern of how the stock is moving, right? And the market makers, they're not stupid. When the stock makes this type of move, they move the implied volatility higher just in general, and they force you to pay a higher price. And then you see it moves. As it goes up, now the volatility is not moving higher. It's actually going lower. So people are either day trading this, or there's more calls coming for sale here. Okay. So that's how I look at the 97 calls. I've tried to, data is data. I like pictures, so I can see the eyeball kind of moving around. The IV is going to tell me a better story than just looking at data. If you want to look at the data and look deeper, you can even go here and start seeing, from 9:30, bid offers and stuff like that. You can look at sort of the highest. Let's look at the highest volume trades. And this looks like there was some on the bid, some on the offer. So, you could try to make sense. Sometimes it's a lot easier when it's 90% on the bid, 10%, it was on, it was it's closer to a sale than anything else. Although you again, you can't be completely confident, but this is what I see here. I see a little bit of selling in the 97 calls for whatever reason. Okay.
Okay.
So I can then look at the 100 calls because this was interesting to us, and I could see very similar. It looks like maybe people were selling, 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 selling. It looks like maybe these were sales of calls as opposed to buyers. So I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that these are all people buying, thinking that in the next 3 days, AMD is going to break through $100. It may happen, but I'm not convinced yet that that's really what's happening. It looks to me that people are just, the stock jump up and people took the opportunity, instead of selling their stock, they said, let me just sell these calls and collect. Let's just see what they were trading at in the morning. Let me sell these calls and look, I can collect a dollar, $5. That's not bad for 3 days of AMD if you hold it and you don't believe it's a takeout, not a takeout, a breakout. So that's my general thing. Also, the implied volatility is down a little bit. This is up, but this is just the 1 month option. This is sort of the expiration option. So the at the money here, this is down a little bit. So I don't know exactly why that says 3, but I like to go to the individuals to check. Okay, to check. I believe I got to check on that. This might be a whole a whole look on. Actually, let me do it one more time just to make sure. See how it came down a little bit.
Right.
This might be a combination of the 95 to 98 on what it's seeing. So one of these, let's say the 96 that's also down. So I would look at the individuals. I have to look exactly at what that is to make sure. Okay. But I would look at the individuals, and the individuals that tell me that the IV is going down on these individual trades, and that these might be sales as opposed to buy. Also, because the stock was going down as the IV is going down, it's giving me that and their calls that are trading, it's giving me the impression that somebody is selling those calls, right? That story makes sense. Somebody's selling the calls and putting pressure on the stock, and the stock is going down, and people are probably selling some stock too to take some profits. So that's what I'm looking at AMD. I'm not super excited about December. We can go to December 18th. We can go to this December 24th, 31st. But let's look at January and see what people are doing there. And remember, people have been buying these calls. They were buying them. John Najarian was on TV, I would say 3 days ago, maybe last week, talking about AMD calls. A lot of people were buying AMD calls last week. They were still long. A lot of people are probably still long those AMD calls, right? They didn't sell them on the $2, $3. Not everybody. Maybe half the people sold them. They sold them when the stock went down to 91. We talked about it yesterday, how people were trapped. And then the stock came back a little bit. So I think actually yesterday, the day before, I can't remember, but the stock came off, and which was right here. So 1, 2, 3. So it was last Wednesday, actually, when we did our initial take, and the stock was down below 90. And I mentioned to you that people probably were selling a lot of those calls. The minute they bought them over 2, 3 days here. Najarian has spoken about it. You see in the chart. Then it went down to sub 90. Many people sold, and then it took off, and now it's trading, 96.5. So a lot of this selling could be those people who bought it during those days, and they're just happy to get their money back. We have the 100 calls here. Again, there's 38. I'm not sure we're going to be able to know for sure. But again, selling, you see everybody came in at 9:30, 9:40 in the morning, and it looks like they were selling their calls out. Okay. That doesn't mean anything. It just means that maybe that's the weak hands that wanted their money back. But clearly there is something, people are looking at AMD. I suspect I'm trying to decide whether it's a technical thing that people are looking at. They're looking at AMD as a breakout. And that's why they're buying calls, or it's this story. And we're about to, AMD is about to reveal something more to the story. I'm not sure, but when they were buying January options last week, it should raise a flag, because like you pointed out, earnings are on January 26th. Why would people buy January 15th options? Like, why would people buy December options if earnings are, people buy the event? The smart guys, one of the assumptions we make is that the smart guys, they know that they want an event for their options. So why do that? Why buy December, January? Just because they're not buying the event, that doesn't mean that it's not a good trade. It's just something for you to think about. Either they know something, or maybe we got it a little mixed up here, and there's something we need to dig further. It appears that they are playing possibly an announcement along with a technical breakout. So you get a good announcement, this thing breaks out, you're going to see a lot of people taking the stock higher, right? So maybe that's it. I don't particularly like this what you want to call it a breakout. Not you, but just in general. This to me is a breakout. You see that?
Yeah.
You see that right here?
What I can
125 million shares. It trades from 55 to 61 and a half, or whatever that is. I'll tell you the exact numbers. Opens at 64.18, trades to the high of 69.94. That's a $5.75 move, and it closes near the high. If this is a true breakout, you would like to see it close near the high. So that would be today, by the end of the day, 97.5. If it's not, and right now the amount of shares is not tracking 125 million. It might track 40 million, 50 million, but it's not tracking 125. So this is breakouts are done with big volumes, real breakouts. So if this is not a real breakout, then what do you have here? You have, see this MACD right here?
Okay.
This MACD, when the stock made a price high here, this MACD's here. Now the price is making a quick high here, but the MACD is not as high. So we talk about this as a diversion. It's one thing that I like to look at to look for turns in the market. And if it breaks down here, it's not showing me this great strength. So if it does break back down below the 94, you could see it go 94 down to, touch the 82 and a half, 80s. Maybe. I'm not saying it will. There's a 50-day moving average here in 85, but you could see it come down, because what this is doing is this is up. The shorts are getting killed here. Maybe the shorts reset up here and people are playing this resistance. It goes down. That's a good thing. And then again, it kills the shorts or anybody even thinking about selling this stock up to 97.5 quickly. And now if it goes down, there's nobody else. Everybody is long here. So that's sort of the trick that's what this MACD sort of tries to measure.
I see.
Okay. It's long. Nobody, the shorts are winning here. They get blasted again. So they get blasted here. But this time the strength is not as strong as it was over here. So that's what I would do. That's the case. I don't mind looking at AMD, but I want to now basically talk about one of the big things that we look at is the target stock price.
Okay.
So the target stock price, to get the target stock price, do you remember how to do it? You want to try to do it?
Sure.
Take a shot. I want to see how you approach it. Okay. We want to see what people are playing for. Let's go to December 1st. Let's look at the December options. And let's say, okay, right now, if somebody was going to sell or buy these 100 calls, what are they really playing for? How would you think about that?
Okay, so how I usually do it, I go from volume. So here, December, there's a lot of volume here. So there's 4 dates, December 18, 24, 31, and January 15. So I look at these 4 and kind of try to see the target stock price, see how they're thinking, what they're thinking about and stuff like that.
Okay, good.
So here
let's start with December. Let's start with December 100.
December 18. Yeah, okay.
For example, December, make it easy. December 98. December 98, right inside that window.
December 98. Okay. So where do they think it's going in order for us to be buying December 98? Okay. So
we're looking for a target stock price, and I built this machine to grab or to go backwards and get a possible target stock price from the person who's buying these options. So if the machine is telling us which one is to buy, like the top 1%, then we can go backwards and say they bought this one. Now we can go back and to get their thinking. So let's do the 98 here.
So when we put 103 target stock price, we can see it lands on the 98s.
Good. And how did you pick 103? How did you pick 103 how did you pick that 103?
Just eyeballed it.
Eyeball it from what? What are you looking at?
So I'm looking at the current price, which is 96.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, okay, it's got to land above this risk reward price.
Okay.
101.
Good. Right. That's what I wanted to hear. So
okay.
You're not just eyeballing. You're basically the yellow line, the yellow column there is sort of giving you an idea of what's priced in the market. The market is pricing in this type of level. stock level at expiration in that price. So if you're
Okay.
going to pay you're going to pay 128 or 120 on the 98 calls, the market is pricing in 101.35. Okay, so keep going. So you put in
Right.
103.
So yeah, I know that 101.35 is at least where
Yep,
I have to go. So I put in 102, and then I see it lands here at the
gotcha.
97, and then usually 80% confident. I just keep that as is
Keep
for
that for
now,
now. Yep.
right? And then okay, so I see 103 lands at 98. So it would have to get to 103 in the next 3-4 days
Right, right,
for
which is
me,
interesting, right? So
right? Which is
so
pretty
so
interesting.
so now that you know that, right? Either does it make sense that people are buying those or selling those? Again, it goes back to the story. If it's likely that people are betting against 103 in the next 4 days.
Hmm.
So that's why it now makes sense that perhaps they're actually selling these calls, the 100 calls, the 98 calls, because they don't believe 103.
Right. Hmm.
Okay. So this machine is telling you the risk reward that somebody would have to think if they were going to buy these options.
Hmm.
Okay. And right now, 103 seems about the level that you would need given a confidence of 80. Now, if you move that confidence to 70 or 90, then you're going to see this move down. But we're trying to back out here. So I would leave default at 80, and we're trying to back out what if somebody, assuming that there's 26,000, if that person was buying 26,000 options, we have to make the assumption that he's thinking 103.
Right.
And then I'm going to ask myself, does that make sense? So
Hmm.
now go back to the chart and see, does 103 make sense? If
Right.
this guy's really buying it, does 103 make sense?
Right. I
And
mean,
let me switch here. I'm going to show you my screen. So let me know when my screen is. Can I share mine?
yes. Yes.
Okay. Tell me when you
All
see
right.
it.
I see
Okay,
it.
so you see it. So AMD stock, we're looking at the chart here. The question is, we're looking at options volume trading at in the 98 range and the 100 range. And the options tool, we're backing out that if somebody was going to buy these calls, they'd have to pay they'd have to be thinking 103. Can the stock get to 103? And what I do is and this is what I'm asking you to do is technically, can it get to 103? Okay, well, if this is a real breakout,
Hmm.
you're talking about this is 74 and 94, call it. Okay, so 74.94, that's about $20. 74.94, $20 to 94, that's 114. So it's going to
Hmm.
be somewhere up here, 114, right? And now, is it going to happen all in one day? No, but that's where the shot would be. So it would be 114 would be some level maybe in the future. The question is, if this is the breakout, can it get to 100, right around this range, 100 to 105, somewhere around here? That's really the question. And you know what I would say? There's a chance. I'm not going to say there's not. There's a chance. But again, it's only 4 days. I would say the bigger move here was 87 to 97. So that's $10. $10 plus, $10 plus 89
Hmm.
is 99. So I would say it would have some trouble probably getting through 100 unless there's a big announcement in AMD over the next few days. So that's what I would do. Sometimes it makes a lot clearer sense. I mean, we just did 20 points here plus 94 is 114. Let's go look at the options board now. Like you said, and maybe in January.
Hmm.
And let's put down, we need something here. Let's put down 114. Now we
Right.
get the 97 and a halves at 114. So, you could see how the board, it's not coincidence, it's sort of the psychology of what people are thinking and what the chart is saying. If I thought, remember, let's just go back, I'm doing some work here, right? Because really I'm not trying to fit things. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to actually do the work, the work, and say, okay, we got a 74 low, 94 high here base. This is going to be $20. Okay, $20. Then $20 on top of that is going to get me about 114. So 114, can it get there by January without an announcement of earnings? Again, that's the question. Now, you have 114. If you say yes, it can by January 15th, you got yourself a possible trade here. but you see how close it is, because if your confidence level is not that high and you're down to sort of the 60, 70 range, you're out of the range of where, the top guys are going to probably think. So we go further and we say, okay, I want to do February options, and I want to look at 114, and look what happens. It doesn't even show up there. It's basically telling me that I'm not in this range. So I got to believe this thing's going closer to 123, 125, right? So 123 gets me in there, and then start moving up 130, in this. This is a huge move for AMD. This is a massive move. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that it's difficult to find opportunity with options. We know that. When you're buying options, you have to find situations where there's outsized, there's a possibility of outsized returns, which means the stock has got to move a lot up or down. And what we are doing is we are looking at a chain where there is volume, but it seems to me that the December is a sale, so they don't think there. I'd have to look at the Januaries. Maybe it would make sense that they're selling these as well, to be honest. And you could see the volume is down. The IV, the implied volatility is down. So it's likely that they were selling these. It looks to me that people took their profits on a big move today on some of these names. And if we're putting 131 in for a February option, it's important to recognize how far and how much you need the stock to go in order to play this game. If you look 100, and just to give you an idea why it's that far, if you look at the 100 calls, you got to pay almost $8 to make 22. Let's say it goes to 130. $8 to make to have the option value. The value of that option, if it got there, would be $30. It's not going to be much more than $30. The puts are not going to be worth that much. The puts here, when the stock is 130, the puts are going to be worth 25 cents. So that's where the Greeks don't matter, and all this other jazz that people talk about doesn't matter. If it hits your target price at 130, the 100 puts are going to be very little, which means time value on the $30 option is going to be small. So this option is going to be worth $30. Okay, at 130, and you paid $8, so that's $22 of profit. 8 into 22, it's only 2.5 to 1. 2.6, 2.7 to 1. What is it? Maybe 2.75 to 1 times your money. 275% winner. That's not like, it's not a 500. You're talking about taking AMD from 96 to 130.
Right.
That's $34. Yeah, that's a $34 move in AMD, which is no longer a baby stock. It's not a $10 billion company. This is a $115 billion company. It takes a lot to move stocks like that.
Right.
Not saying that they can't, but you're going to move the stock $34, and then you're only going to make 2.75 times the money. I don't know. That seems it's a tough bet. It's tough. I have a hard time pulling that trigger. Right. I'm sitting there, looking for the ideas, and I have a hard time pulling that trigger. Can it get to? I can see 115, but now you're forcing me. I showed you the chart. I could see one. I would think, man, that's a pretty good move from 96 to 114 in the next 8 weeks. It's not enough, right? We need it now. When you see people buying those options, then you got to question, well, how do they? Because they're not dumb. They're not buying an $8 option to make $4. They're buying an $8 option to make $22 or greater. So the question is, what do they see? Why are they so excited? You see how we're circling around this trade in a different way? We're circling it in a way that we're trying to make sense. The optics tell us one thing. The trade tells us another. We're in the trade now, right? We know the story. We know there's unusual options activity. We know that the chart looks great. Now we're getting into the details where we're trying to figure out, what does the trader think? Who's ever buying those? If they are buying them, first, are they buying them? What do they think? And then why would they think that? Can I get there? Because if you can't get there, then the next problem is that maybe somebody's been long from here, right? Marco's been long since $40, and he's long 1 million shares, and Marco has 1 million shares, and it goes all the way up, and it's trading all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, and now it hits 96, and Marco says, I don't want all this stock anymore. Okay, I don't want this stock anymore. I want to get rid of my stock, and I just want to buy some call options just to,
Just
just
in
in
case.
case,
Right.
right? AMD goes up to 130. At least I got something. Okay,
Mhm.
that is different. That is much different than I love AMD. I haven't owned it. It's about to go, and I'm going to buy 10,000, 20,000 call options. That guy, call that guy hedge fund A. That guy is a shark that is buying this because he thinks it's going to 130. The other guy, hedge fund B, hedge fund manager B, who's been long the stock for, and just made $50 million, long a million shares, he is not the same as hedge fund A, right? His mentality is, I just made 50 million bucks. I want to get out of the trade, and I still like AMD, and I don't know where it can go. This market get crazy. I'm just going to buy 10,000 calls. That guy is different. I'd rather, out of the two, who would you rather follow?
Right. The first guy.
The first guy. He's the guy telling you, I've never owned AMD. I've just done the research. I have the answer. I'm buying it right now. The other guy, he's made $50 million. He's like, I'm going to throw away, if I have to throw away, 5 million bucks to just buy some calls just in case. Hey, that's the game we're playing. I took off 50. I take 50 million back in my pocket. I put a 5 million in call options. If I lose, I lose. And if I lose, the stock trades back down to 80, which means then I will probably buy more stock and I'm back in the game.
Mhm.
That's how these guys think about it. That's why when you're moving so high and moving so far, the question is the risk reward. Is this person really believing that the stock's about to explode, or is he getting out of a position and just hedging sort of his capital outlay and what he has on the table? Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
Good. Let's go to the next one. I know you said you had two, so I'll give you a chance on the next one, and you can explain that.
Okay. So let me just write it here. So CWH, and that's Camping World Holdings Incorporated. I also saw it on the unusual options
Okay.
activity, and I found it interesting because for some time now I've been following a trend called van life, and it kind of clicked when I saw this. Right. So I'm gonna go a little bit into
Hold on.
that.
Let's hold on. Let's run. You're
Okay.
following van life?
A little bit on YouTube. It's been really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, there's not a million people watching this podcast yet, but
Right.
I don't know if you want to be known as the guy following van life. But
No,
anyway,
no. I mean, I did. I don't watch it anymore. A
I'm
couple
teasing.
years ago.
Yeah. Not anymore. Not after today. All right.
Right. So
Go ahead.
this guy Marcus Lemonis, he
I like
hosted
him.
still hosts a show on CNBC
Okay.
called The Profit. He
Mhm.
holds 52.4% of the company's votes, 40% of it equity, and a lot of the stuff he's covering is retail. So he seems a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I
And,
watched this show. I used to love the show, and I actually watched this episode. That's cool. Marcus
right,
Lemonis.
and I didn't know he owned this company, which is
Okay.
pretty interesting. And so year to date, they did over 100%. The RV units are huge this year. Yada yada yada. It's really interesting, and I didn't know that you can actually rent an RV. And in 2021, they're actually thinking of making like an Airbnb for RV rentals.
Wow,
Which
that's
is really
cool.
really interesting.
That's really cool.
And one quote I really liked, and I think goes hand in hand with this pandemic, explains those sales, is people turn to RVs as a way to have the freedom to travel and experience an active outdoor lifestyle while also controlling their environment. Now, when I read that reminded me of that van life, right? So in that van life, people just get a van, they remake it, 10-year-old van,
Why not?
and they just go across the country. They sleep in Walmart parking lots. It's pretty sketchy. They get a $10 Planet Fitness subscription. They use the restroom there, shower, stuff like that, whatever. I think a lot of people watching that are not going to be in for that type of stuff, and more people are going to be kind of in between. I want my freedom, I want to travel. This
Sure, I get it.
stuck at home. If I'm doing a remote job, I got a good 4G network. Let me go.
By the way, I'm only kidding. Do you know that in the United States GDP numbers, when they actually break down the numbers, and they there's like categories on what people spend their money on. Do you know that one of the largest categories has always been for like the last 10 years is like RVs? It's insane.
Really?
It's crazy. And I always would look at it like, who's buying an RV? But it's,
wow.
I kid you, but I know that it's a major trend over the last,
I guess they're pretty expensive, right?
Yeah, it can be, some RVs could be millions of dollars.
Wow.
Also, there's this, I mean, you're young. I was gonna say you're young, and there's this thing called Coachella.
Yes.
In the United States, right. And everybody brings, you could have RV. When I think of RV, I think like Scooby Doo. When I was we had like an RV that would break down. RVs now, they can have $1 million, $2 million, $5 million RVs,
Right.
which are amazing. So, I kid you, but yes. So okay. So what do you got in this camp world? So that
Right.
I do see now, I see that in the unusual options activity, there's
Yes.
what's going on here?
And an interesting correlation I found was with EV. So EV, RV type of thing. And I think
Okay.
that could be the future. Yesterday we talked about like
Ah.
environmentally friendly
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
companies
yeah.
are pushing them. So I mean, this could be a
So
huge
these guys are going to make an announcement. They sell
right.
EV RVs, EV RVs. They sell that. Let me
Yes.
see.
For example, in Germany, I think they last year they showed one that can go 249 miles in a single charge.
Wow. Okay.
Huge. So if the US
So what's the
produces,
announcement today? Why is it up $3.32 today?
I've seen that. What's the call? Lordstown EV pickup. So
Oh, oh,
this
oh, oh.
Honest CEO, he actually took a picture or recorded this EV pickup, and he posted on his Twitter. Now he has over 500,000 followers.
Yes.
Why would he be promoting stuff like that? So there
Gotcha.
could be something happening there, which is pretty interesting. And now you see it popped up on UOA. It's definitely something to follow. So I
Yeah.
want to see your
Yeah.
take on
For
it.
sure.
It looks like a pretty quick play, so that's why I wanted to ask you.
Okay. So here. Okay. So Camp World Holdings and Vol Group among consumers. All right. So I'll share my screen. This is how I would
Yep.
look at it. But let me see. Share. I got to get quicker at this, huh? Okay. So I just Google, first thing I do is just Google Camping World Holdings. I always look at $2.72 billion market cap, P ratio 15. That looks pretty good. Maybe that doesn't tell a story, but oh, here we go. They're supposed to make an announcement. Maybe they made the announcement. Doesn't look like I see anything about an announcement, but maybe if you all hold on real quick. Let's just see.
I think there was
Okay.
also some dividend talk. I'm not sure.
Ex-dividend date scheduled for December 14th. That would be today. No, that was yesterday.
Mhm.
Dividend yield, okay. Dividend yield 13.95%. Wow. Okay. Okay. So whatever, but it looks like some sort of announcement. I'm sure it's not that there's a 14 cent. I'm sure it's this Lordstown thing that you mentioned, that it's this ride.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is why it's up. Now let's take a look at what they're buying. So CWH, they are buying, let's take a look here, remove shading. So we see them here in the 28. So these are a little bit weird. Looks like it's that dividend thing. Okay. I don't know. It's a little odd, but the open interest going into today, before this $3.30 move, the open interest was 4,000 here, and that's about it. So it looked like stock was trading 27 to 28 calls. Either somebody had bought these, or they were prior to this, or they were just overriding. We'll have to take a look at that. But I see that looks like they're getting out here. See the 4,000, 4,800, it looks like they're getting out. Is that fair?
Yep.
You see that? Okay, here it looks like something brand new. So it looks
Right.
like they're getting out here. This is what's going on here, 29. So the change in the implied vol was 90 minus 13. So it's 77 was yesterday. And it looks like it opened up about 85 and then came down to about 77. So maybe 85. Looks like maybe people were buying these back. Okay, it looks like, see how the stock went
Mhm.
down and then just shot up. So it looks like people are buying these back, probably a little bit in panic. The stock was opened up at 28, trades at 29.5. So it looks like they're buying these calls back. So to me, it appears like someone got caught short these calls. They were trying to be slick, and they're taking in some premium. What can go wrong? Everything is great. I just take this money and run. It's only 4 days left. And an announcement like this comes, the stock races higher. On the open, they're buying, and they're buying to cover. Now, the 30 calls are the bigger ones here too. Again, similar thing. We are seeing volume here on implied volatility higher, and the stock making a run higher, which means that these are probably being bought here. This was a buy. This here right around 13.10. Let's just go back to see what's going on there. 13.10. This is also looks like, it says here, I'm looking at 13.11, 81. So at 13.11, it traded at 81 cents. And then at 13.13, it traded at 95 cents. So this is probably a buy here. Okay. So people buying here, the 30 calls. Now, it's interesting to see at 9:30 in the morning, these traded at 23 cents, 30 cents, 35 cents, 40
Right.
cents, 30 cents. And the volume's been picking up. Now they're trading, in the dollars. So volume's picking up and the stock is going up. I like this. I just, it's not something that I would do with the Winning Picks members because it's so fast. But it's interesting. I'd have to look to see a little bit closer when that announcement is. But these EV things, I mean, they're, first of all, Camping World it seems like it's a $2.6 billion company, but it actually has earnings. You tie that into this EV craze where if you just mention EV, it doesn't matter how small or big you are, the market's going to respond and it's going to give you credit. Just look at Baidu today. Did you see Baidu? I
Yeah.
mean, look at this. Like we talked about this
10%.
last week. Baidu announces that they are going into potentially. I mean, it doesn't have to do anything, but just think about it. We're going to think about EVs, and
It
the
goes
stock
up.
jumps. How crazy is that, right? We're going to think about it, and boom, the market responds by taking it up 15 handles. So, it's this could. Let's go back to CWH. Let's look at the chart now, right? It's a good part of what we're looking at. I mean, this chart looks pretty damn good to be potentially explosive here, to be honest.
Mhm.
So, and I'm talking about like immediate. Yeah, this is. Let's just look at this. What I tend to. So here, this chart didn't look so good in the last, call it 3 months. You see that, right?
Right. Kind of
But
like after summer, probably.
right, but in the bigger picture, it didn't look that bad. It's stock
Mhm.
that's going up. If you're buying calls, you like stocks that's going up. Looks a little bit like this is some channel. And I do accrue it. I'm not super specific to the penny. I'm trying to find a general trend, but you have a stock that's going up. And then you have a stock that sort of has this channel going down.
Mhm.
And now what happens? If this is a bull flag, if you will, however, I call it a positive chart. Whatever you want to call it, I don't care about names. This is a positive chart. It's up. It's reducing, meaning it's come from 4, and instead of it went to 40, instead of 40 back down to 4, it's sort of digesting this move around here, and now it seems to be trying to round its way out to make another move up like that.
Mhm.
This is on decent volume here already, half the day. By the end of the day, we probably have something like this. I don't know when the announcement is or when they will make an announcement for sure. I don't know, but this could potentially have legs to something like 34. I mean, pretty easily. It could happen by the end of the day. If there's this announcement, it could happen by the end of the day. But this has got to be broken here. They're going to try to test this, which is kind of going on right now. But this is, if you want to look at it down, there's already too many lines. So I don't like that because if it confuses me, it's going to confuse everybody. But you have your general, I'm always trying to be as simple as possible and let the eye just see, guide the eye a little bit. But this is, let's move this up over here. This is sort of, if I want to actually draw the tops, the tops going down, you see point to point, not trying to fit it. I'm just drawing point to point. This broke out a little bit here, came back down, touched the line perfectly, and then shot up here with this announcement. This could go from, call it 31 to 27, 4 plus 31, 35. So I could see a 35 line, and 35 matches very nicely with this sort of area right around here. You see how I did that? It's nothing scientific. I don't know for sure. This top was 36, 36. But if you want to be specific, it's going to be close. 31 and 26 and a half is 4.5. Let's just be specific. I mean, I'd rather just to show you how I look at the world here. This is 31.01 to 26 and a half, which is $4.50, 4.49, right? 449 plus 3101, 449 is 3550. 3550 is right here, which is pretty close to where there was this move down. So can it go to 3550? It's just one of those things because it's this crazy trend. of EV and mentioning EV and doing a tie up with an EV company could go to 35 fairly quickly, in my opinion.
Should we
And
take a look at it on the chain and see what
yeah,
it says?
yeah, great, because that's the next step, right? The next step is, okay, can it get to 35? And let's just throw 35 in there, and
And
hey,
there it is.
voila, voila, there you go. So, people are, they're saying to you, if you think 35, then you want to be looking at 31 and a half. But the reality is maybe 35 takes a little bit more time. So, if we say 33, that's not going to really work to buy the 30s, but it's close. It's close. You see how that 30, see the 30s, that's the one they're buying today. So, 33 is sort of the level, the level to sort of have some edge. 33 and a half right here. But I think if it gets to 33 and a half, it can easily make a spike to like 35. It's my opinion. So I think that's why people are willing to sort of pay that 109 right now, 120. They're willing to pay 120 right now because they're probably looking at this as maybe a potential breakout. You wake up tomorrow and this thing has more legs, as more people hear about it, more people get on the train. And the other thing I would say is that, remember, people are buying, this could have a sharp move up, and then people are buying 9,000 options here, 8,900 options. That means collectively they own, if these were all bought, collectively they own 900,000 shares. It's almost 1 million shares, right? Now, this is where the interesting part, I mean, we don't talk about this too much, but when you buy, say I'm the person that's selling those calls to people, I'm the investment bank, I'm the player, right? I don't care so much about direction. I care about how the stock moves, where it goes, and the Greeks and all that stuff. So I'm selling them. You're buying 9,000 from me. I sell them to you. I don't have to buy 900,000 shares today, right now. If that has whatever the delta is, it's probably at this point, it's probably 60. I have to buy 60% of 900,000 shares. So that's 540,000 shares. But these were bought at 9 something in the morning. So as people buying those calls, maybe in the morning, it was only about a 30 delta. In the morning it was 30. Now it's a 60. I had to buy 30% times 500,000 probably in the morning, which is 150,000 shares. So I helped push it up. And then as the stock was going up, my delta was going up. So I had to buy more. So the banks are buying into this because they're protecting those calls that I sold. So I sold them to you, Marco. You're just sitting there happy because you paid 50 cents. And I'm over there struggling, going, I got to buy stock to protect against the 9,000 options. Now, the way it works and why gamma and leverage, how this all happens is if there's a spike tomorrow, I'm going to be needing to buy stock all the way up. And then once I finish buying my own stock to sort of hedge my position, guess what happens? You make the decision that you want to actually sell those calls. So now you're going to sell those calls, which means you're going to put pressure on the stock. You now have to sell 9,000 calls, which is really, for me, 900,000 shares. And I'm not going to give you a great price because I have to sell now 900,000 shares to the market. Right. And what's that going to do? It's going to push it towards where? Towards the strike, towards 30. So that's why things get pinned. And we'll go over that another time, but it's the game that you play versus the game that I play as the seller of those options. So, will it last at 35? It might be a 35 quick move to, 35 tomorrow, the next day, or 33 or whatever. But then as people try to sell those calls, essentially they put pressure on the stock, and that's what causes the stock to drop. Right. Okay. So a lot of this day trading, that's why it's so fast, is because the crowd is buying calls, pushing the stock up, then selling calls, pushing the stocks down. That's just the nature of the crowd and how they're day trading these things.
Cool.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Awesome, man. How much time we got? What do you think? Do you have a question?
Got a couple minutes left, but I would like to squeeze in a question here that I have.
Okay, go ahead.
And I just want to quickly just mention, anybody who has any questions for Felix, you can email me here at marco@optionsgeek.com, and then we're going to be featuring your question if it's a question that we can answer with confidence. So one question I have for you is, just a sec. Okay, so people say that you can actually lose money if you put it in the market, right? So you can lose more that you put in. What's your take?
Usually people say you can't. People usually say you can't lose what you can't lose what you put in. So if you put
more
20 grand,
right?
Yeah, if you put 20,000, all you can lose is 20,000.
It's 20. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
Not always true. Not always true. And it's not true for a reason that most people don't understand, or not that they could understand, but most people don't think about. And I've seen it happen in times like this where you could lose, even trading stocks, you can lose more money than you actually put in, which sounds crazy, right? Because you're trading stocks only go to zero. So how is that even possible?
Right.
Okay, it is possible, and it's possible for a certain reason. And I've seen it happen. It happened in 2017 in a big way, in a very, very big way. And I was warning people about it, all my friends, and telling them, be careful here, just be very careful. The Bitcoin craze in 2017, Bitcoin went from 2,000 to 20,000. So, or whatever it was, 1,000. Some people got in at whatever level from 2016, whatever. The people made a lot of money. Some people put 20,000 in Bitcoin, 20,000. And so 20,000 became 400,000, right? So when it got to 400,000, what else was going on in the world? The Bitcoin was up. All these other coins, altcoins, were available, and they were only $1 or $2. Bitcoin was 20,000. And so the idea is very alluring to sell my Bitcoin, take the $400,000, and now I can buy 20 of these other called altcoins that are $1, $2, $3 that are moving crazy. Some move from 3 to 20 to 100. And if I can buy 20 of them, and I'm going to put 20,000 in each, and 3, 4, 5 of them go from like they were $5 to 100. I'm going to make so many millions. I'm not going to be able to sleep at night because I'll be out all night. So that's what was going on. That was the background. What happens in those situations is people do sell the Bitcoins. They take the 400. They do put it into all these altcoins. And if you can get leverage, they leverage. So now, you're at Coinbase or any one of these other things, Circle, whatever, wherever you trade these coins. You take 400,000 and they give you 800,000 in buying power. So now you can not only buy 20,000 of each coin, 20 coins, you buy 40,000 of each coins. Great. So 40,000 each coins. You're waiting for a couple of them go from 5 to 1,000 or 100 or whatever they're going to go. And come, that was in December of 2017. By January, third week in January, what happened? Not only did Bitcoin reverse, and I'm not calling Bitcoin right now, I'm telling you what happened. Bitcoin reversed from 20 down to, it was a very quick 50%. When that reduced from 20 to 50%, what happened to all the old coins? All the old coins that were at 5 went to went
down, right?
3, 2, 1. And really, it was hard to get out of these things, right? Because everybody jumped in and it was hard to get out. And so many people, yes, they made money on Bitcoin, and they sold in December. They bought these. And then in January, they start seeing their portfolios going down. From 400,000, they're leveraged. They're really carrying 800,000, and their portfolios, these Bitcoins go down by 40, even 30, 40%. You're talking about 60 to 80% losses because you got a lot of leverage. So you're down, the portfolio is down 80%. You're sweating. You went from 20 to 400 down 80%, which is left to 40. So now you're like, this is the worst. What a January. It's awful. Well, I'm going to get out now, and I'm going to take my 20 grand gain and maybe go on vacation, right? There's a problem. The problem is there's a guy knocking on your door, old guy, has some crazy hat on his head, and you open the door. Oh, by the way, that's Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam is telling you that, oh, you owe us in 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you owe us 35% on your, congratulations, $380,000 profit. I just want to remind you, I'll be back in 8 weeks to collect my money. And if you're not, it's penalty by jail. So I'm sure you're going to have my money. No problem. Okay. United States government. Okay. See you later. Now, 35% on $380,000 profits is more than $110,000, right? It's probably 125 maybe. So it's $125,000 you owe in taxes. Your account is only 20. You just lost the gains. And so then you say, hold on, Uncle Sam, come back. I actually only have 20. I actually lost the 260 of the 360 of the 400 that I made. And he says, that's not my problem. I'm only here looking at 2017, right? I'm only here looking at that. And there's a mismatch. There's a mismatch because of taxes that, yes, you made money in 1 year, but then you lost it immediately in the second year, right in the time window where you actually need money to pay the taxes for the previous year. You can get into a lot of trouble. And many, many people did. They wound up losing because they were in Bitcoin. I only want to spend 20 grand in Bitcoin. They wound up losing 150,000, depending on how much they made. Now, is it all a loss? Not really. You can actually take out $3,000 off your taxes for the next however many years till you get up, but it's a maximum of $3,000.
Mhm.
So, or unless you make money and then you can offset some of that money. But at the end of the day, you have to come up with the tax money, which means you have to go into your savings to get it, or you have to do whatever it is that you have to get the money. So I look at it in a similar way in where we are right now, where some of these stocks are going from 3 to 40. I know young kids, even kids that are, I mean, I call them kids, they're 20 something years old, making a lot of money. I talk to them that, and they're making a lot of money on just, it's blindly buying a lot of these EV stocks, the Neos, the Workhorse, the Nikola, all these names that were going from 5 to 40 to 80, wherever they're going. And, oh, I'm selling that. And then I'm buying 4 more and they're all going up. And then I'm buying 8 more. And it builds this confidence to keep buying and buying and buying. At some point, the music stops. And most of these people will not have a chair, and you have to get out. The money's now into the stocks. Now you want to get out, but you want to get out at the same time the crowd wants to get out, because the crowd is moving it up. You were part of the crowd. Now they want to move it down, and you have to find the next buyer. But you were really the crowd. The crowd was the only buyer, right? Generally. So this is something to think about. It's not always the case. And in times like this, you could actually lose more than you put in. So you have to be careful. Leverage is a dangerous thing when you are using it like that, carelessly, just kind of, messing around. And I would say to everyone that is new to the game to consider that December, January effect, where it could be real if we have a January drop. It could be real if, the market has a crazy way of making things happen the way it wants. I always say the market's going to hurt as many people as it can when it can, right? So if it can't hurt everyone right now, it's not going to crash right now. But if it can hurt everybody and crash in January, maybe force a little mini sell-off in the end of December to have everybody sell, get the tax gain, and then have it all go up and then crash it in January. I don't know. I mean, just the market, when you look back in time, the market has a funny way of moving and shuffling things around so it hurts the most people. And then it'll go in the direction that it wants to go. If the direction that it wants to go is down, what is it doing? It's basically killing everybody right now who's buying puts and thinking that the market's going to go down. And once everybody stops, then give it a period of time. And then all of a sudden, just one day you wake up and it's down. Right. Or if the real decision is the market wants to go up, the market wants to get everybody out first. There's a lot of people on that tree. The market wants to shake the tree. The monkeys fall off the tree, and then it takes off. That's how the market, it's like water. It goes to least resistance. So I always tell my kids to respect the ocean. I tell people, you got to respect the market. If the market's going up, then the market's going up. Right. And you got to sort of play. If the market's going down, you got to realize also the market's going down, and you got to respect that it's actually going down. Options, that's if you're trading stock. Options is a little bit different because you have limited liability in sort of the product. And so you could actually position yourself to, know the risk you're taking there, and then play the opposite, the opposite of what the market is doing, because that if it does, in this case, this perfect scenario, if the market does turn here, there's not a lot of put buyers, there's not a lot of put positions, everybody's in the market, and so there's an exit for the door. So that's sort of I would say the lesson to learn from that Bitcoin. One is the tax situation. Two, that the market is going to do. The market is going to do what it can to hurt the most amount of people in the short term. It does in a way. It does reward those long-term investors. But if if you sort of, it has a funny way of just crashing at the wrong time. Just when everybody's levered in and all in, it comes down. It just has a funny way of doing that.
Right. Well, that's a really interesting perspective.
Cool.
And yesterday we talked about people being able to get into their pension funds without penalty.
Yes.
And now you also mentioned when Uncle Sam knocks at the door and you got losses.
Yeah.
So
it's something that people, especially the young investors who are carelessly, not thinking and just saying, what, I want to be long. I want to be long Neo because it's in the electric vehicle stock. What can go wrong? It's electric vehicle stock in China. There's, 1,000 billion people in China, and they're all going to buy cars, and NIO's going to be the top, and they're going to make, $400 billion in five. I mean, the story can go to whatever heights you want it to go. But at the end of the day, the stock market is about finding that next buyer. If everybody's in, where's the next buyer? Our institution's going to pay for NIO up here. If not, then who's that buyer up there? You're trying to get the next group of young kids to say, hey, by the way, NIO, and it becomes a difficult game.
Right.
Let's just look quickly. How about this? What time we got?
We're
okay. We're almost done. So let's go quickly on what we're seeing right now. I'll read a couple of things for you. One, I would say that there's, we have Facebook down here, calls, IV down. So it looks like it might be just $12. Oh, sorry. Let me, sorry about that. I'm just going to go through the board here quickly to allow people to do it for themselves, maybe have questions. Let's see. Sure. Okay. You can see my board?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So IV up. I'm going to just leave it like that. And I see Apple's obviously trading well, and the stock is up. They have some iPhone production announcements today. Advanced Micro trading up. This change is not that high, not that much. This also is not that much. So I'd be a little, I don't think that's. I like to see this. This actually is on a percentage basis, not that much, and also it's a $2 stock, so that I don't care. GameStop, we talked about that a little bit the other day, and I would look into that a little bit. That looks interesting. 100,000 options, 70% calls. The change is high. The vol is a little high, so you got to be a surgeon there. But +7 is only about 5%. STM, this one was down on, I don't know, it's down on some an announcement that they were going to work to be this carbon-free type of environment. So this one was down. They're buying calls again here. Chewy, this is an incredible story. I don't know what to make of that. I can't understand this. Solar company, China. This one had gotten had come down. JKS. These names are. These solar names are in a major. We talked about BlackRock yesterday, and this is a major trend. So when these things get down too much, you might see a very sharp bid. But this is a sharp move down. It kind of regrouped here a little bit. You can probably see 70, but it's a name to watch. I'd like to see it a little more time and have it even out to about, call it February, and have it be 65 in February, and then it's going to take off. That's what I would think. So some of these things take time to build it. Baidu, EV, Plug is an EV type, not EV, but just carbon-free name. MT was call buying yesterday, call buying again today. They're buying this stuff, something to look at. I would definitely look at this. If the earnings are in February, you take a look at March earnings. March expiration, see which one they're buying. They're buying the 30 calls here, maybe. Are they buying the 30 calls? Actually, look like they probably sold them here. Mm-hmm. See how this came off a little bit, and then the stock ran up. So they probably sold them. Maybe that's an overrider, not sure. But this one, I would take a look. They are buying. They were buying them yesterday. I see them buying some today. The question is, 25 calls. Look at these right here. So the 25 calls. These look like they're buying these all day. See how the IV is going up here? Looks like these are buyers. Stock is going up. They were buying these the other day as well. Something to look at. If you look at MT, I hate chasing. But this is a powerful chart. This is something that is just a powerful chart. Do I think it can come off? I think so. I think it can take a breather. But there's steel names, they're commodity names. In times like this, I try to take a breather and look at the full picture. And then you think, oh, wait, maybe it can still go up a lot more. This is just a weekly. So this is going back in 2018. You see how it's gone. I'd love to see it stop somewhere around here, give us a chance. Maybe the market comes off a little bit and it gets back to 22, 21, and then it makes another move. But this was pretty strong action. Let me show you something. They had an announcement where Metal, they're selling something to they're selling some mine to Italy, and Italy, the Italian government was going to take like 60% of some of the mine. It wasn't a great mine of theirs, and so they were going to monetize that, which was great for the company. But when I see a stock, look at this. You see a stock go like this and then trade sideways. I mean, it literally goes from 13 to 21 in 30 days. Okay, 20 trading days, and then over 7 days stays sideways.
And then it goes
right?
up.
And then it goes up again. So what I would say to people just looking at charts go like this, right? It's like a pattern. I want you to, we'll do this exercise. This is how I just show people. Charts go up, charts go down, charts go up, charts go down, charts go up, charts go down, charts go up. What's the next move?
Down, yeah.
Down, right? It's like SAT in the United States, SAT test, right? That's a pattern. Up, down, right? Charts go up, charts go down. Now, what if I told you that here, let's do this, 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 and let's do this. What if I told you that I've shown you this, stock goes up, stock goes down, stock goes up, stock goes down, stock goes up. Where's it going?
Down.
Stock goes down, right? But now I tell you that actually it doesn't go down. It does this. So stock goes up, stock goes down, stock goes up, stock goes down, stock goes up, stock does this. It was supposed to do this, but it didn't. Right? But that took its turn. That was its turn. It's like a turn. It's like a dance. You take your turn. You didn't go down. You went sideways. Well, now the next move is up, right?
Right.
Up, down, up, down, up. This is supposed to be down, up. Every other one is up. And so that's how you would sort of look at, when you're looking at charts, this is a bullish development. If it's supposed to go down, right? Because it goes up and down, and it went sideways, then that's really bullish because the next move we know is up. Now, does this happen all the time? No, but this is what's called, when I show you this is called a flag, a bull flag. Okay. So, again, I simplify things to make it so it's, for me, I need it to be simple, stupid to understand. But that's how I look at the world. It's up, down, here's a pattern. This is going way up, and then it doesn't even come down. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, this goes way up and doesn't even come down to breathe. It just goes sideways for, a second here. I mean, this is pretty incredible, right? After doing that. And so the next move is what? Well, it happens to be up again. But I didn't think it was going to happen that quick. I did see the calls yesterday. Was thinking about it, but again, I hate reaching here. I hate reaching for stuff. I'd rather be here, have it come off a little bit like this, still maintain this, and then show a little bit of a comeback, and then call buying there. That's sort of, to me, a little bit safer than reaching, right? You reach here and it comes off and you have a 2-month option. It comes at 20. It's highly likely you're not going to win.
Yep.
All right, my man.
Sounds good.
Good. All right. So tomorrow, same thing. We're going to go look for the other stuff tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye on this AMD. We want to see if there's a real breakout there. I like your camp. What's the name of that website that I'm going to jump on that. Is there a membership? Should I become a member of that?
What?
Your camping thing, the van building, van lines.
Van life.
Van life. I'm going to get a t-shirt. I might get a t-shirt. I'm going to see if I get a t-shirt for van life. I want to be involved. All right. Sure. So we'll see each other tomorrow. Okay.
All right. Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Marco. All right. Be good.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.